everyone, in this video what I'm going to do is I'm going to start going over some sample problems from Quiz 2 that will preview for you what Quiz 2 will be like. Let's get into it.
So here are the sample questions, and these are going to be up on Blackboard 2. If you look under the quizzes folder, you'll find like a quiz prep. So this is Quiz 2, quiz prep here. Here's a couple of examples. When Barad-dûr is defeated, Elisar shall become king of Gondor in the south. If all the preceding, the kingdom of Arnor will be reestablished in the north. That's an example of one you just need to translate. The second one, if Darth Vader is Luke's father, then if Luke is Leia's brother, Leia is Vader's daughter. Another example of a translation. The next one is going to be an example of a translation into a proof. If you're going to the store, then if you got enough cash, you can also pick up some avocados. Okay, so that's one line. There's more. You're going to the store. Third line, you've got enough cash. So, we see the word so. That means this is the conclusion. You can pick up some avocados. So there's three premises here and one conclusion. Not only do I want you to translate it, I want you to solve for it. So the first two that I have here, these are examples of just straight up translations. The third one here is an example of a translation into a proof. And then also you'll have ones like number 4 here. What I want you to do is prove it and to complete it. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Let's go through all 4 of these to get prepped up for Quiz 2. This one says, when Barad-dûr is defeated, Elisar shall become king of Gondor in the south. If all the preceding, the kingdom of Arnor will be reestablished in the north. So this one's just a straight up translation, and there's only one period in here right at the end. So that means this is one line. So what we're going to do is we're going to figure out how to translate this, and you'll have other problems like this on the quiz. So this one, look, we can see there are 3 things that are going to be capitalized, or 3 parts. There's this line, Barad-dûr. Also, there's this line with Gondor, and then there's this line with Arnor. So let's see if we can figure it out. It says, when Barad-dûr is defeated, comma. Okay, so when is another word that can mean if. So let's keep that in mind. So that means right there, that means when we see if, that means that there's going to be an arrow. In fact, on this quiz, there's going to be nothing but arrows. Let's do it anyway. So let's get an arrow, and whatever follows if goes on the left side of the arrow. So Barad-dûr, that's one word that's going to be B. So if this happens, then what? Then Elisar shall become king of all Gondor in the south. That's G. So if this, then that. And then it says this phrase, if all of the preceding. Now I told you what that means. That is, remember, if we have an if, then if structure, that means you got 2 arrows and you're going to have a heavy right. Okay, that's one thing. The other kind of structure that you can have is actually like what you see here. If you have a if, then, and then later you have if all of the above, or if all the preceding, as we have here. What that means is that you've got 2 arrows, and it's a heavy left. The parentheses are going to be on the left. So that's exactly what's going to happen here because we see that. So we see if all the preceding, so if when Barad-dûr is defeated, then Elisar will be the king of Gondor. If all this happens, then Arnor will be reestablished in the north. So that's this one. Now, if I put the parentheses the other way, if I put this is wrong. And what this says is this. When Barad-dûr is defeated, then if Elisar becomes the king of Gondor, then the kingdom of Arnor will be reestablished. But that's not what it says. It says this one. And because of that, if all the preceding language, that means this is going to be heavy on the left, not heavy on the right. Let's take a look at the next one that I had in the sampler. All right, this next one says this. If Darth Vader is Luke's father, then if Luke is Leia's brother, Leia is Vader's daughter. So let's take a look at the shape here. So the first word we see is if. That means we're going to have an arrow. And since we have 3 letters, there's going to be a V, there's going to be a B, and there's going to be a D. So there's 3 actual simple statements here being put into a compound. Whatever follows if goes on the left side of the arrow. So if Darth Vader is Luke's father, well, that means this. Then if. Now that structure, it's the other one. Remember, a moment ago I said we had a heavy left because we had if all the preceding. This one, the then if, means that there's a heavy right. So that means there's going to be parentheses on the right side and another arrow in there. And whatever follows that if goes on the left side of the arrow. So it says this. Then if Luke is Leia's brother, Leia is Vader's daughter. So for this one, because of the if then if language, it means that we have this shape. We have 2 arrows with a heavy right. So this is the right side here, this is the left side here. Now, there's a certain sense in which this other one here might also be true, but that's not what it said. So this one would have said, if Darth Vader is Luke's father, then Luke is Leia's brother, and if all the preceding, then Leia is Vader's daughter. It's not that that one's untrue, it's just that's not what the language says here, which is why this one is correct. Now let's take a look at the next one where we need to both translate and solve the proof. Alright, let's take a look at this one now. If you're going to the store, then if you got enough cash, you can pick up some avocados. Alright, that's the first line. Then there's the second line. You're going to the store. Third line, you've got enough cash. And then we see that word so. That word so means this is the conclusion. This is the thing we're solving for. So we're going to do this one line at a time. So line number one. If you're going to the store, then if. Now look, we've got here that language. There's the if, then if. That's the same structure we saw a minute ago. That means there's two arrows, and it's heavy on the right. Period. That's what if, then if. That pattern, that's what it means. So then whatever follows the first if, you're going to the store, that goes on the left side of the arrow. Whatever follows the second if, you got enough cash, that goes on the left side of the second arrow. And then whatever's left, you can pick up avocado. So what this is saying is, if you're going to the store, then if you got enough cash, you can pick up some avocados. That's the first assumption. Second assumption, you're going to the store. There's no ifs or thens in there. That one's simple. You're just going to the store. Assumption number two. Third line, you've got enough cash. No ifs and thens in there. That's just straight up cash. Okay, so these are the three assumptions. And then we've got so, and what that word so means is this is what you're solving for. So here's the conclusion. We want to get, you can pick up some avocados. It's also simple. So we're solving for just A by itself. Okay, so now everything's translated. What we're going to do now is solve this proof, not just translate it. That's half the work. And even though that's half the work on this one, and this one's got a little bit more work, all the problems on quiz 2 have the exact same weight. So no problem is worth more than another. Sometimes people are better at translations, sometimes people are better at proofs, sometimes people are better at these combo ones. They're all worth exactly the same. So the one rule we've got in play here is we've got our arrow out modus ponens, which says you got an arrow, you got a left side match, you can get the right side. So in order to do this, the first step is to see, do I have any arrows here not in parentheses? Yep, this one. Okay, there's an arrow here, but it is in parentheses, so I'm going to ignore it. Do I have a left side match? Yes, I do. So here's my arrow, left side match, which means I unlock this C arrow A. It's a little bit bigger, but it doesn't matter. I can unlock it, and that's going to unlock it from its parentheses as well. That's arrow out. Where was the arrow? Line 1. Where was the left side match? Line 2. Okay, now I just got a new arrow. So here's this one, now freed from the parentheses. Does it have a left side match? Well, its left side is C. Do I have a left side match to this? Yeah, line 3, which means I can unlock this A. So I can say, hey, I got A. How did I get that? Arrow out. Where was the arrow that I used? It was in line 4. Where was its left side match? Line 3. And hey, that's the thing I was trying to solve for, which means that this one's done. This is it. It's both, we translated it, this means it's valid. All right, if it's all true that if you're going to the store, then you get enough cash, you can also pick up some avocados. You're going to the store, you got enough cash, you can pick up avocados. This doesn't mean you are going to pick up avocados, it just means that you can. That's the validity of the argument there. So finally, let's take a look at the last sample from quiz 2, which is just a straight up proof, no translating. All right, here I'm going to give you this one the way that you're going to see it on quiz 2. So the straight up proofs, it's going to basically be laid out for you like this. On quiz 3, that will not be the case, but for quiz 2, the straight up proofs will be laid out like this, where everything's all lined up. Basically, you just need to fill in what to do. So you're going to be done by line 6, and you're going to solve D. That's what you're going to do. Now, the translation into proof, like the one we just did, that one you'll have to lay it out, but you'll have the framework in problems like this to be able to do so. So for this, it's already laid out. Like, we know we're going to be done in line 6, so basically we need to just figure out, like, how do we get line 6, how do we get line 5, how do we get line 4, and what do we get for line 4 and line 5. So just go through, again, the one thing we've got in place is our one move, arrow out. You got an arrow, you got a left side match, you can get the right side. We're going to do that here. So first of all, let's see, do we have any arrows not in parentheses? That one is in parentheses, so we're going to ignore it. So we got this one, and this one. So the first question is, do I have a left side match for any of these? Do I have a C by itself? No. Do I have an E by itself? No. Do I have a C arrow D by itself? Yes, I do, down here in line 3. So this is a match for this, which means it's going to unlock the E. So I'm going to go ahead and say that. We unlock the E. How did we get it? We did arrow out. What was the arrow that we used? Line 1, left side match was in line 3. Now with the E here, do we have a left side match that's new? Yeah, actually line 2 has E arrow C. This would be the left side match for this, so that's going to unlock C. So that's going to be arrow out. Where was the arrow that we used? Line 2. Where was the left side match? Line 4. And then now we think, oh, we did it. We got to D. Yeah, but we didn't say how we got it. So that's what we got to do here in these problems. How would we get the D? Well, here we have an arrow in line 3, C arrow D. Do we have a left side match for it? Yeah, we got C. So that would unlock D. So how would we get it? That would be arrow out. The arrow that we used was on line 3. The left side match was on line 5. So this is another example of a problem that you'd have on quiz 2. You're going to have a few more problems like this. But otherwise, that's it. As long as you can do arrow out and you can translate if-then statements and recognize if you have the if-then-if shape, that means you're going to have a heavy right. So you put the parentheses there. And if you have a if, blah, 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 if all of the preceding, then you're going to have a heavy left. You're good. That's really all you need to know for quiz 2.
So that concludes taking a look at a little preview about quiz 2. What's going to follow from here, the next video will be quiz 3 content. See you next time.